I'm in business of web archiving for 1 year now, and yeah, it's still under construction. And in general, I'm coming from a semantic web background. Linked data is with what I've worked before, and in the linked data domain, we have this linked data lifecycle, and we think of data in cyclic processes that there are steps that influence other steps, and and various tasks. So it doesn't necessarily need to be understood as a sequence of steps. You can also skip steps, jump to other steps, and so on. But you will redo several steps over and over again. So you will collect data. You will intellectually select what data you want to use or what you want to crawl. Then you collect the data. Then you have to perform some quality checks on it. You have to index the data. Then you have to store the data. Then you have want to search on the stored data. Then you want to provide the data. And during the whole process, you will discover new URLs as seed URLs, which you will put into your selection again, which you will call again. And then you will continue the same thing for the same domains, and you will do all of these processes. So somehow these processes influence each other, so they can block each other if you see them as a sequence, but you also need to think of them as parallel processes, as you always repeat them in various orders. So I think it's important to have a flexible setup where you can replace these individual modules, that you have some way of parallelizing tasks, but also that you understand that some tasks depend on previous tasks. In the German National Library, or for the German National Library, we have the Gesetz über die Deutsche Nationalbibliothek, which gives us the task to collect media content, and this, like in general, online publications. And so far, we already collect music files, university dissertations, audiobooks, ebooks, any other digitized content, electronic magazines, and we already collect websites. In the future, we also would need to collect databases, podcasts, and things like that. But we're not yet at the point. We already collect websites, but we have to improve this. So far, our collection of websites is mainly consists of two parts. On the one hand, we have our currently running collection, which is currently 136 events, 40 thematic collections, and we have 9,483 titles in it with nearly 80,000 snapshots with a volume of 73 terabyte. I've heard much larger numbers in the already yesterday, and I think you have larger numbers in your institutions. But still, there is something. We're not completely at zero, but we're currently crawling at a pace of 12,000 snapshots per year, so 1,000 per month, which boils down to around 33 per day. And we want to increase this. And on the other hand, we already have a partial domain crawl from 2014 with 6 million websites and 139 terabytes. So overall, we have around 200 terabytes of web archive data with which I can start to work. But still, we want to improve. So currently, we have an external contractor that is operating our web archive. It was moved in-house, so the software is running in-house, but mainly under control of this external contractor. It's closed source with 12,000 snapshots per year, and it exports to VARC. So it doesn't really work with VARC data format as its core. So we have VARC files. To some extent, they also follow the standard, so I can partially work with them. But I'm not yet entirely sure, so I will need to check them. And we don't know how long we will really be able to work with this contractor in the future. On the other hand, we want to get everything in-house and have also the operation in-house on our own IT infrastructure and constructed on an open source stack. So the contractor works with its own tools and its own database, and we want to use the tools of this community over here. And we want to reach something like factor 10, maybe more, we will see, and improve our capacity. We want to have the system extensible, that we can add new crawlers for different kind of web data, that we can play around with various replay systems, various index systems, various ways of accessing the data and researching on the data. And WAC data format, or whatever the community might come up with in the future, should be the core, and we want to follow the standards of the community to be compatible with the development over here. And we want to integrate it in the IT infrastructure of the library. My perception, but you should tell me if this is wrong. I've seen that it's not the same. However, we already have this collection of these media types as I've shown over here. And we want to integrate into the same workflow. So we don't want to build the web archive as a parallel system to that, or as a separate system, but in parallel to this, to follow the same workflows, to reuse them, so that I'm not responsible for every single step, but then I can offload it at the colleagues of the IT department. And in general, how we build our community, who are the stakeholders, who is the staff of this. As I said, I want to build it together with the IT in our house. And as I've mentioned, we have the open source community of the IIPC, which are you, which is a big part of our team, I would say. Then we have the regional libraries. I don't know if there are people from German regional libraries in the room at the moment. No? Okay. Last year there were. And they're really looking forward that we increase our capacity so that they can collaborate with us and do their crawling together with us. And on the other hand, we have our internal web archiving team, which is 5 people, 2.5 full-time equivalent. Britta is in the audience over here. She's my boss. And then we also have 3 more content curators at home. And then we also have the IT team. And together, I think we should build this future web archive. And the project plan for this or our time frame is roughly lined out over here. So I'm still in the general concept phase. I've acquired some computing power in-house where you can run it. In parallel, we always want to have this requirements and state-of-the-art package, since we want to incrementally adjust to the needs and adjust our requirements and the software accordingly. And I already have some prototypical playback system running, that needs to be scaled now. Oh, okay. And then when we got the playback, we want to get the ingest with our pre-ingest system at the library, so that we hopefully also get it into the long-time archive, and that I don't have to care about the long-time archive stuff, but that the workflows that exist already, that I can just reuse them as they are. And then we also have to migrate the existing collection to the new system. We have to index it in this way, add some more metadata, and then also start our own crawling capacity. In the German National Library, we have an objectives and key results setup project where we have formulated these 3 objectives that we want to follow for this year, for 2025. So at the end of the year, we want to have existing WAC files that can be made available for use as a prototype via our new provisioning system. So that should be the goal. The internal ingest process for WAC files should be conceptualized, and the cooperation with external partners is strengthened. We've done this now. We're here. And then the current development, as I said, we want to have it open source and in-house. So a great resource is the awesome list, but also the discussion that we had yesterday about the whole tool development is important for us. And we want to build on existing interfaces in the library on the one hand, but on the other hand, on the standards that are available in the community. And for this glue code, where I think most of you also have custom scripts that do all of this handling, I have created my web archive command line interface, WACLI, and I've also put this online. Maybe it's not of use for you, maybe it is. I don't want to hide it. And the general technical stack that I'm working with is mainly that we have, like in the future, the crawling part over here, Harry tricks, browser tricks. We will see what we'll have here. Then we have our ingest process. This is our internal library system with the catalog, and then we have the portal where people can research on. And then, we also want to provide some link graph. I really like the lightning talk we had in the earlier session. And then here is the playback part, where I'm currently working on the Pi wayback, but also Solar wayback. Outback CDX is in the plan to use it. And everything should be made reusable and deployed on the Kubernetes cluster. So we want to maximize the automation. And also I hope in cases where the system fails and we have to rebuild it, as we've learned from the British Library, we should be able to just like restart it in some way. I try to make every single process in OCI container with Podman or Docker and modularize the system. And the code is in the Git repository. And so if you look at github/deutsche-Nationalbibliothek, and then you click on the web archive tag, you will find all of our forks where we fork things like PyWayback and WAC.io. There you will also find the WACLI. And I also try to mock our internal systems. Like we have ARAS as an internal interface, but so that you can understand our deployment concept, you can mock this interface and play around with it and reuse the charts. And if you have different interfaces, then we can also mock them and put them in the same charts and then construct common deployments. And I already learned that there are other people working with Kubernetes, and so I will want to see their charts and we will put them together and look at it. And that there are also other ideas how to properly containerize the Solar. And you will just find everything over here. And my charts are, I think that, the bottom repository. And what are our lessons learned? We're still sitting at our homework. We still have to do all of these basic tasks. I hope that the whole containerization and working with Kubernetes pays out in the end and really makes it more flexible. And I think being part of this international community is important and in general being part of communities. So, On the other hand, we want to integrate with the library systems so that I don't have to maintain every single step on my own. That it has benefits and it has drawbacks. I have to do a lot of communication, and also the other people have to communicate with me. That's complex, but you're not alone in the end. And I think that's important, not being alone. And thank you very much for your attention.